Kramer of Purdue is the Big Ten's reigning Defensive Player of the Year. There's Matt Painter, the head coach of the Purdue Boilermakers, now in his 4th year. As we look at the officials today, for you have been around the big games for a long time. John Cale, Reggie Greenwood, Brian O'Connell. Don Crickey with Mike Jaminski and Jim Spinarco. And we're ready to go in the capital city of the Hoosier State. The Boilermakers in the white, black, and old gold uniforms, Davidson in red. And the ball will come inbounds, and it'll be Purdue with the ball for the first time, Mike.
Not a kind of a classic matchup here at Purdue. Such a great defensive team, and Davidson, even other than Steph Curry, very explosive offensively. CU gets to impose their will on whom.
Jim, what do you think? They're going to show a lot of different defenses trying to stop Curry when he has the ball?
Yeah, what I think they're going to do is they'll probably try picking him up full court a little bit just to get him the release, but he's gone from that 2-guard position to the 1-guard, so he's gotten better with the ball and without.
Kramer driving hard to the basket. He's rejected, goes down hard, and here comes Stephen Curry with his first possession. Very good passer also. In addition to the 32 a game he's scoring, he averages over 6 assists a game. Curry lets the long ball fly, and the rebound is off to Purdue.
Lewis Jackson got buried under the screen that time. It's probably one of the few open looks that Curry's going to get that he's going to miss.
Now a hard drive to the basket by E'Twaun Moore, and a foul is called on Davidson. Here's how it's gone for the Davidson Wildcats so far this season. They come in with an 8-1 record, their best start since the 69-70 season. Stephen Curry leading the nation in scoring with 31.9 a game. Only loss was to ranked Oklahoma. They have a common opponent in Oklahoma. Purdue also lost to Oklahoma. Purdue in an overtime loss to the Sooners. Purdue comes in there 8-2, and their other loss was a 16-point defeat at the hands of Duke.
Interesting enough, here it is with Jackson full court on Curry. One of the things they want Curry to do as a point guard is to release the ball and not hurry into it, because he'll get it back eventually.
Both teams cold as Steve Rossiter tries the jump shot, doesn't go for Davidson.
And then if you're Purdue, that's the guy you want shooting jump shots instead of Curry.
How about Chalison shooting jump shots? The big senior from Bosnia and Midland Junior College in Texas strokes in the first points of the game.
Interesting enough, as Curry goes again with the jumper, that Purdue has Kramer on their team, the reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and he doesn't get to check Curry.
Jump shot doesn't go, and the rebound fought for as E'Twaun Moore goes after it. Three-pointer by the Boilermakers on their last possession.
Here's a kind of look into Chalison, kind of a classic international big player who can go out and stretch the three-point line.
Jim, here's the defense on Curry now.
Well, they continue to just pick him up straight up, and I think this is a good move, because what it does is it makes Curry from way back in the backcourt think about what he has to do coming up the floor. And once again, they like him to give it up, and now he becomes a scoring guard, a little bit of a combo here, wide open again.
Again, they open up Curry. Again, a three-point try doesn't go for the sharpshooter. Now the offensive rebound's taken by Paulus Gosselin. Wildcats firing and missing long range. They're down 5-0. Purdue hurrying down. A nice lead pass by Hummel down low to Chris Kramer. And the Boilers extend to a 7-0 lead.
Poor job that time of Davidson's big men. An unexpected, I think, jump shot down the other end, and they were off balance getting back.
When you take a look at Purdue, what they're looking to do is come down the floor in a hurry. And look at the guys get to the wings. 1, 2, they're filling the lanes quickly, and they get down the floor. Perfectly executed fast break. When you're out on the wings like that, a perfect time to go push the ball down the floor and find something good.
And Jimmy, the thing that's dangerous about Purdue, they've got 4 players who can bring the ball out of the backcourt and trigger the break, and they really consider Hummel like a guard, and he can get out and make plays, and it's tough. You have to find people in transition quickly.
Thank you, Timmy B. As right now, Davidson has the ball, but has no points so far. Down 7-0 to the Boilers. Kellop going to his bench early.
Kramer has Curry right now, too. It's his job to track him.
Terrific looking pass by Curry down low, but a rejection of Lovedale of Davidson. Here comes Purdue again, open man down low, and the big man, Jallison, puts it up. And it's off to Curry.
Another breakdown defensively, though, right there for Davidson. Good look by Curry, though, up the floor.
And a good foul by Jallison. He'll make Davidson get him from the line.
This was a nice find inside Lovedale, but that one extra step and dribble allowed the defense to collapse and get the block inside.
Well, then what Curry has done so well, you see that zigzag pass of his up the floor. They really like for him to be handling the basketball but releasing. So both of these teams have to be aware of the transition defense, find the ball, and find the middle of the floor at the same time.
And I think, Jimmy, you look at early in this game that both front lines are beating their counterparts up and down the floor, just running and out hustling. Everybody concerned about offense right now and scoring, not stopping.
Purdue, I think, is, I'm surprised with Davidson that the first couple of minutes, too, that they've been able to find the easier opportunities down the middle of the floor, too, because generally defensively, that's where you track. You track right down the middle of the floor to stop that.
Davidson, a team that lights it up at about 80 a game, still without a point, almost 4 minutes into the game. Now Kramer trying to get inside, so Purdue gets patient now. And they had a hard practice yesterday. Matt Painter really was driving his team on various options. So here there is Hummel, the very good sophomore, and he follows it up. He was a first-team All-Big Ten player as a freshman.
How about his step away just then? A little reverse pivot to separate himself, to get the shot off, and stays with it. That's why he's inside, he's outside. He's a terrific player in this league. And a preseason media pick for Player of the Year honors. Let's see if he lives up to it. So far, so good for him this year.
Now Reggie Greenwood calls a travel on the Wildcats, and the ball will be back over.
This is the thing. If you're Davidson and you get them to miss early on, you've got to clean up that rebound and get going down the other end of the floor. You give a guy like Hummel multiple shots at the basket, he's going to convert.
Yeah, especially when you have 3 red shirts around the ball versus 1 white shirt just then. Unfortunate for Davidson, they didn't come up with that ball.
And this is, if you look at Purdue, a weakness they have is on the boards. They're -3 to their opponents over the course of a game.
Purdue with a 9-0 lead, 5:50 to play in the first half. Davidson 0 for 6 from the field.
Missing a post-up opportunity down low against Curry. Pretty good patience overall, though. Look down deep. If it's not there, they'll turn over the other way. Purdue really has this going and rolling right now.
This goes down. It doesn't. All knocked around, and let's see who comes inbounds to. It'll come inbounds to Davidson.
And that's not necessarily a bad shot in the break because you feel like you've got confidence in your rolling, but that's a good find, nice drive and pitch, which you'll see Purdue run a lot.
Well, obviously the shooting, couple of turnovers there. I think they just have to settle down for openers. One of the things when you look at the scouting reports and you watch Purdue play, they're athletic, they're strong, and they come at you night in and night out. And I think they've done that early on in this game. And Davidson basically has to kind of wake up and say, all right, we're in for a pretty good fight right here, a physical fight. We may have to change the way we're attacking inside instead of just looking outside for the jumper.
Yeah, that was a concern of Coach McKillop of Davidson at practice yesterday, is the physicality of Purdue. As he said, every team in the Big Ten, you've got to really ratchet up your...
And right now, the third different Boilermaker is picking up Curry up the floor, and Keaton Grant. Not even 5 minutes into this game, and he's faced 3 different guys.
And Hummel just then looking to double team him, too, to make life miserable for him.
Curry pulling up, and his 4th shot of the day is off the mark.
They're not even worried, Jimmy, who's screening. They're completely playing off of him.
Well, that's why Bob McKillop was saying who's going to step up. We touched on it in the open of the broadcast. It can't be Curry all day long because somebody else has to step in and help him out.
And we welcome you to Indianapolis, those who've just joined us. Don Criqui with Mike Jaminski and Jim Spinarco. Davidson of the Southern Conference against Purdue of the Big Ten. And Purdue off to a quick start, out to a 13-0 lead as Stephen Curry, the nation's leading scorers, without a point so far.
Well, he has had games this year where he has struggled, Don, and most notably the West Virginia game, but made some big shots down the stretch to help them win, but went for long periods of that game where he couldn't find the basket.
Here's Stephen Curry again, pulling up a soft shot, and he is now 0 for 5 from the field, and Purdue's given him just one chance, Jim.
And just about all his shots have been short, too, which indicates that maybe, early on he's just a little nervous to get things going, get the legs worked out. But the other part of that is he's been pestered the whole time. Every second he's had the ball, and when he gets away from it, running around screens, he's been trailed and dodged and bumped, too.
Keep in mind, too, that Davidson's been off for a week with exams, and that may have a factor as well, coming out a little sluggish here early on.
Somebody has to get to the free throw line for Davidson, though, Mike. They have to find a way to see the ball go through the hoop.
I think you look at it, Lovedale, their only other double-figure scorers, got to get some touches down on the post.
Yeah, this is where you just drive it and hope you get hit. I mean, you got to force the action, even if you get called for a charge. The outside shot's just not going to get it done against Purdue.
You know how hard it is to jump shoot yourself into some rhythm, too, and it's just not happening.
Well, Purdue just touching it around. Everybody's comfortable. I think that's the one word with Purdue right now. They're up and down the floor. They're running their sets. Hummel looks good here in terms of the follow-up, going after the glass. So once again, this is a team that's ready to put a knockout punch to Davidson if they're not careful, and they're just looking to attack.
Yeah, almost a TKO early, and now the ball goes to Jawan Johnson inside, and the Boilers extend to a 19-0 lead.
Well, and as you said, they've built that comfort zone building inside out.
Right.
They've gotten some layups off the break, and they've gotten some things in the paint. Makes your jump shot go down a lot easier.
Purdue coach Matt Painter told us we've beaten the teams we're supposed to beat. We haven't beaten the real good ones we played, Duke and Oklahoma, but this is, without question, the best showing of Purdue so far this season. As we look at the starting players on the court for Davidson: Curry, Archambault, Hollis, Goslin, Rossiter, and Lovedale, who's the second leading scorer. Lovedale averaging a double-double, double-digit rebounder and scorer. Hummel's the key guy for Purdue, the sophomore from Valparaiso, Indiana, who was a first-team All-Big Ten player a year ago as a freshman. He averages almost 16 a game and is a 46% three-point shooter.
Really is shocking 6.5 minutes into this game that Davidson yet to even get a free throw.
But as you guys know, Davidson can make it happen fast when they start to light it up.
Well, they better start soon.
That's right. Archambault gets it out. Long ball from Bryant Barr, and he's in and out, and the rebound is back down to the flashy point guard, Lewis Jackson, the freshman for Purdue.
That's where that three-point line can actually hurt you as Purdue continues to just pile it on here. Coach McCullough has no choice but to call a timeout. Down 3 touchdowns and 3-point afters right now.
Wow, 21-0 Purdue.
It is coming in the waves. You notice the sets, they're patient, they look away, down to the blocks one time, and it's just basic basketball, getting things done, a little turnaround. This is a team that's running on all cylinders right now.
And much more balance to what Purdue is doing. The inside out, the exploring, the kicking out, the spacing.
Hey, the mental edge, the physical edge, every edge belongs to the Boilermakers of Purdue. One of the big concerns of Matt Painter, of course, when we talked to him yesterday, was not putting Davidson at the free throw line, particularly Curry, where he's an 85% plus free throw shooter. They want to make him work to get his points from the field, and so far nobody has points.
And it's usually on Sunday you see games that might start off 21-0, but certainly not played on the basketball court.
I can't remember one that I've been involved with or broadcast or just watched.
Curry again doesn't go. Back up and down by Andrew Lovedale, a native of Nigeria, a very good player. And a key guy is now 21-2.
Well, by far their best interior player and a double-figure rebounder as well.
Oh, nice cut by Grant. Good use of the dribble.
Sophomore Etwan Moore from East Chicago drives the basket. Here is Curry again. He's off target. One of the best shooters in college basketball in the recent years can't find the range. And down low they go. Up and down Marcus Green. Put back goes. Jawan Johnson.
They are getting down the floor in a hurry, and Don, they're getting the shot they want, and even if they miss the initial, they're running and they're tracking the ball, finding good spots on the floor.
And they're also dictating which shots Davidson gets or doesn't get. Miscommunication there on the part of Curry.
Hey, this guy's a terrific little player, this Lewis Jackson, freshman from Eisenhower High School in Decatur, Illinois. Top defender. He's worked himself into the starting lineup. They list him at 5'9". I don't know if he's that big, but he can slam dunk with both hands. He's a little shaken up there. But Purdue is not, as the Boilermakers hold a 25-2 lead.
So what they need to do is just chip away at it and hope at the end of the half they're down 12, 10, some number like that.
I like the way Stephen Curry's taking people through traffic trying to pick him off. Here he is with the ball.
But he always comes up with somebody on his chest, though, Don. That's the problem. You're right. He's trying to track through there and find slicing and cuts, but everybody's staying with him.
0 of 8 now in the game. People don't understand how difficult it is to score 30 points a game and how physically taxing it is. So they're taking it out of him on both ends.
Well, he scored over 40 3 times this year, including his last time out, a Southern Conference game, the opener for Davidson when they beat Chattanooga 195. And he hit for 44 against NC State and against Oklahoma. Rebound tipped out, and here comes Davidson now that Paulus Gosselin bringing the ball up. Not playing as much point, it doesn't look like today. Curry's on more of a two-guard trying to free him up.
With Brendan McKillop in there, that he gets a lot of the ball handling responsibilities, so that it does allow Curry to run off screens freely.
But look where Kramer comes around that corner. And Curry looks to be breathing a little bit hard out there too, Mike. I would too.
Yeah.
Not the knock.
And not that he's going to stop shooting ever, but
right.
Kramer is probably as physical as imposing as the guys he's seen.
Wildcats just can't find the range, but they're going to keep trying till they get hot, and they just hit their first 3, and they're down by 20. Trying to come back from a 25-2 deficit at the outset of the game. It was 21-0 Purdue at one point. Jackson has the ball, stolen by Curry, who's a very good defender also, Stephen Curry. Very quick hands, as you saw there. Rotating the ball, Curry lets a long ball fly, and that's the marquee shot of Stephen Curry.
There are some jump shots, we've seen players in the last few years in college that are almost unguardable. They're so far out, the defense either doesn't expect them to shoot it or can get to them.
He's now 1 of 9 as he hits the 3 with 9:48 to play in the first half.
Well, you take a look at Curry coming off the screens. Now he turns, and here's Kramer sitting right on him. And he's just going to stay. He goes a little back door, but he tries to stay with him. Forcing the baseline. Now you have the double team and forcing him to give up the basketball along the baseline. So the key is they know, Purdue, that Curry's going to get the ball, obviously, have it in his hands a lot. They can't stop him and prevent him from touching the basketball. What they can try to do is make his life so difficult that he's forced to give the ball up. Obviously, when he's giving it up, he's not going to be scoring.
And I think you accept, too, the fact that if he does score points, to make him shoot a low percentage, because those are shots that other people aren't converting.
And Davidson, guys, is actually on a mini run. They're a 6-0 run on a couple of threes off offensive rebounds. Davidson can stroke it, and they now start to find the range and cut the lead to 14.
We were asking about the other guy and who steps up, and right now Bryant Barr is the one who's starting to shoot them back into this game, a couple of threes in transition.
Now, that's one of the things that Barr has improved over the summer, his shooting ability. Oh, great drive by Hummel just there, huh? Put the ball on the floor. Nobody steps across to stop him. That's one of the things that Purdue has consistently done with multiple players on the floor. Look for the seam, look for the penetration, and they're putting the ball down with a purpose and utilizing it.
Curry.
And we talk about his jump shooting, but he really is very good with the basketball. Yeah. And if he goes left, he'll shoot a jump shot. If he goes right, he wants to finish all the way.
In New England, that would have been the floater.
Well, his coach, Bob McKillop, says he's a lot better player than he was last March when he was only sensational.
And they actually think they're a more lethal team with the ball in his hands. That was actually a very athletic get by Paulus Gosselin off the break.
Take a look at putting the ball on the floor with the dribble. He comes around the corner, and as you said, Mike, with the ball, he's very, very good. He's very tricky. And then up the floor, you have a look, you put it up there, and Curry, once again, that's where that mixture of his play comes in. He's getting better and better at it.
It's not easy to be the conductor and the lead soloist all at the same time.
Right to Curry. Right now the Wildcats on a 13-2 run, but he is intercepted, and back come the Boilermakers.
That's the way to run a 3-on-1 break.
Robbie Hummel on the payoff end.
Yep, must get something good at it, and it's unfortunate for Davidson because all of a sudden they were building that little bit of rhythm, a little bit of momentum in the entire shift for their team with the confidence getting back into this game against Purdue.
And I thought that was a shaky decision by Stephen Curry on the pass, a one-handed pass which triggered the turnover and the break.
And they want to make sure now that they're building a little bit of rhythm to make sure they get good shots.
Well, if Davidson could ever get it to single digits by halftime,
that'd be a victory.
It really would at halftime. Now here's a takeaway as the ball is taken by Barr, who's playing well. Bryant Barr.
That's not going to count, though. It's out on the floor.
See, I always felt like if you're going to make a pass with two hands and you catch with two hands, and that's the risk you run right there. The Lovedale wasn't expecting the pass, and they get the breakout.
Especially a diagonal.
Back to Indianapolis in a moment. Game summary after 9.5 minutes. Purdue led 25-2.
I think the big thing, Don, 12 three-point attempts for Davidson, far too many the way they're shooting, and conversely only 2 free throw attempts, so they're not trying to get inside and build inside out.
Because this is a team, Purdue, you know, when you think about them coming back from last year, they had 25 wins, the most wins in 10 years at Purdue. They're 15-3 in the Big Ten. I mean, this is a good defensive, solid team experience from last year. Nice work inside, though, for Davidson.
And you think what Matt Painter's trying to do, I mean, if you think Big Ten, there are other marquee schools that are there that immediately pop into your head, the Wisconsins, the Michigan States, the Indianas, Purdue trying to get there.
Right.
Archambault hit the 2 for Davidson, right back the other way. E'Twaun Moore strokes a 3 for the Boilermakers. And they're back up by 15.
Trying to keep it away from Curry. Kramer again, nice look. Very nice look outside by Curry to start that off.
It's like a lot of touches.
Yeah, it's like the light went on for Davidson about the 10-minute mark. Yeah. They've been a different team offensively.
Davidson, like Purdue, a very well-coached team, spent a lot of time prepping for this game. Particularly Purdue, they had some time off.
I was just thinking maybe Bob McKillop had something to do with the timeout and what he said to them.
Reject from behind by Steve Rossiter.
That's a good foul, though, Don, right there, I think. Don't give up the easy bucket. Put them at the line. You know, force them to go to the line and make some shots rather than giving up a layup.
Hummel's good at the line, 93%. Don Criqui with former Duke teammates Jim Spinarkle and Mike Jaminski, who played on a Duke team that went to the championship game back in, 78? And had to come from behind a few times in that season, too.
It just reminds me of how old we're getting. You think about 30 years ago.
Glad we're not aging. Or at least some of us aren't aging.
Stephen Curry will sit down now and take a break. And working at the point is Brendan McKillop. He is the sophomore son of the head coach, Bob McKillop.
One of the few rests that Curry will get during the course of the game. He's out on the floor 35 minutes per.
Archambault gets the ball tipped away, a partial block, and here comes Hummel.
There's Marcus Green with the block there, Don. Good elevation, great timing.
(34-19). Purdue continues in command of the game, not like they were at one point. They were up by a 23-point margin. Grant. Keaton Grant, junior from Kissimmee, Florida, the team MVP last season. Just out of the respect his teammates had for him, he played the whole year with a bad ankle and contributed greatly as Purdue had a real good year, a 25-win season, and won an NCAA tournament game in the opening round.
You know, we're talking about their defense, but look at Purdue spacing the floor. You got guy over in the corner there, spacing it, allowing there, and then it opens the middle, then you kick it back out. I mean, their spread offense is really working nicely with the double screens down low on the baseline. I mean, they're making Davidson work each and every possession when they're in the half-court set.
The thing I like, too, Jimmy, about their offense, they change sides of the floor with the basketball. So it's not just one side to go along with that spacing. That is a very tough offense to guard.
Curry back on the floor, surprisingly, huh?
Can't get it to go. He's now 2 for 12 shooting the ball. Ooh. Nice hands by Moore, but he got it back over to the wrong guy. McKillop takes it. Back out to Curry. Rudely sent back by Juwan Johnson. Nice. Here comes Hummel. Moore, a sophomore from East Chicago, drives the basket and extends Purdue to a 20-point lead. McKillop, way outside the line, is short.
I'm not so sure that Davidson down 20 wants to get into a ragged type of game right here and go up and down. They're not executing the defense. You see the block, and then it's off to the races again. No balance. I mean, Purdue is really taking advantage of all the mistakes, but defensively it's a great combination we're seeing here early on with Purdue at both ends of the floor.
And I thought in a scattered situation, Marcus Green did a terrific job of finding Curry and not letting him get that initial three-point shot, which was forced him to drive and get that turnover.
Last March in the NCAA tournament, the long ball is stroked down again by Purdue.
And Johnson going up once again out of the set. They're just wearing Davidson out at the defensive end of the court right now.
He's just too long. They're throwing over the top of Davidson's front line.
So after Davidson challenged, Purdue's now on a 9-0 run to build a 41-19 lead in the NCAA tournament against Georgetown last March. Davidson came from 17 points down to win. Here's Curry off the dribble.
Yeah, it took a while for him to get open just then, too, but a good turn. He's got such a fast release and understands how to get his shot off in traffic.
Curry is now 3 of 14, 7 points. In his last game, he scored 31 in the second half.
Opportunity to post up Hummel inside, and Curry, they didn't get the ball into him.
Rebound, tipped out. Here comes Gosselin up court. Archambault. I'm not sure they like Lovedale shooting threes.
A lot of times, how many times have we said, why is that guy taking that shot for Davidson?
Johnson doing good work with an offensive rebound out to Moore.
See where it got a little erratic just then for Purdue, and what do they do with the big lead? Let's make sure we get a good shot. Matt Painter up the other end yelling to his team to take your time.
And Jimmy, we talked, Don said about ever played in a 21-0 game. You got to keep your focus in that and keep doing the things that built that lead for you, not fall asleep on it.
Archambault with the rebound. And here is Curry. Tremendous handle, people hawking him. And Archambault lets fly a three, and now Davidson inches back down by 17. Archambault has 5.
Well, we take a look at this high pick and roll action right here. Watch for the cut to the basket. A nice little screen up high. And there it is. And watch the lob upstairs. I mean, it's just well designed, and it's timed perfectly, and they're just forcing the action. I mean, what Purdue is showing right now is the unselfish play at the offensive end of the floor. The other thing to look for, what's given Davidson some fits, is that one of the things Purdue does defensively is they do when you catch the ball, they jam you. They basically come right up and play you chest to chest. And I'm not so sure Davidson has seen too much of that at this particular athletic level.
Well, there was concern about the physicality of Purdue for Bob McKillop expressing that yesterday. And the Big Ten whole league is a hard-hitting league.
Well, and it's interesting, too, when they're talking to Davidson assistant coaches, the team they most resemble, they think of Purdue, is Duke in how they pressure the basketball and how they bang you. So they'll see Duke in January in a game early on. It's so combating that and playing it just wears you down over 40 minutes.
Sure does. I mean, every single catch, there's just no place to go, and it's relentless. And Purdue has done a very good job of it so far, through the balance of this first half here.
We have a mini Duke alumni gathering here in Indiana. You two guys. But Duke, I think maybe Duke's best game this year. They went to Purdue this year, and I mean, they played great basketball.
Well, and one of the things Matt Painter felt was that they got out-hustled in that game, which hardly ever happens to this team.
And we take a look at Curry. Early on, as you touched on, Mike, just couldn't get the rhythm. First few shots, he had some pretty good luck. Started to warm it up a little bit, as you mentioned, then started to play playmaker. So breaking it down a little bit off the dribble, doing some different things. But it's difficult. He knows coming out here he's going to be dogged the entire game. And it's really a compliment to him, right? I mean, you play as well as you did last year in his entire career so far at Davidson. You put up these numbers, just under 32 points a game. You're not going under anybody's radar. You're going to be out there. You're going to be a marked man. And
chances are he's going to be the first guy mentioned in most scouting reports that Davidson plays this year.
He spent a lot of time in the offseason at various camps. Chris Paul's camp, Steve Nash's camp. I talked to Stephen before the game. He said Nash really taught him a lot about ball screens and working with those playing the point.
He's one of the best in the business at doing that. I'm talking about Steve Nash. But I think in preparation for playing more point, a perfect guy to learn from.
1,000-point scores in a single season. There haven't been many. Accomplished 18 times by 15 different players. Pete Maravich did it 3 times. Austin Carr of Notre Dame did it twice. Elvin Hayes of the Houston. Here's a long ball now off the hand of Curry and into side court, right back over to Purdue.
Pretty good score in the history of Purdue with Rick Mount, a guy who could really light it up.
Joe Barry Carroll, another guy, and you have to mention too that with Pistol Pete Maravich, no 3-point shot.
Yeah, no 3. Why'd you have to go Joe Barry Carroll on me? Because he lit me up for most of the
I know that. I like bringing up guys who've lit you up in your career.
Yeah, so you were gone by then.
You were also trying to guard Jack Gibbons in the final when he had 41 against us.
Hey, he also had 41. G-Man did against Walton, career high.
Yeah, see, he'll never bring that up.
What kind of teammates were you guys?
Don, I'm not getting your microphone over here. My headset went dead there for a second. Yeah, you look at the break once again. Look at the side coming in. Here's just a classic example of a pass behind the player, a bad pass that does not come up with 2 points on it because of the 1 split second late and giving up the basketball.
Yeah, and I think at the point, too, you have to understand where to stop your dribble. He just carried it 1 too far that time, causing the charge.
Hummel gets a break now. Back into the game is the defensive specialist, Chris Kramer, who was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year a season ago. But right now the freshman Jackson is on Stephen Curry. Well, Curry, he's got a quick gun, but a bit short. The offensive rebound down to Davidson is in the hands of Ben Allison. Boy, I tell you, Davidson goes all over the world to get players. Allison is from England. Lovedale's from Nigeria. They got a guy from Turkey, 2 from Quebec.
And those quick reactions, too, when you look at it. Generally, when the guy who blocks that shot is the second guy in, there's generally a guy in before him making the shooter work a little extra, and that was the case that trip.
1:17 to go in the first half. 20-point lead for the Boilermakers. Terrific offensive rebound as Lovedale was traveling when he got the ball. The NFL today presented by Northwest Airlines with regional action tomorrow coming up. A huge game at Nashville, the Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. And then in the late game, the Jets going out to Seattle. The Jets having a good year, but not on the West Coast. They're 0 for 3 out there. It all begins with the NFL today. Check local listings beginning with JB, Dan, Coach Shannon, and Boomer, all on the NFL today.
John, amazing this late in the season how many huge games there are tomorrow with playoff implications in the NFL.
Yeah, well, just like in the AFC East, you got 3 teams at 9 and 5. And here's another long ball stroked down.
Marcus Green only coming in shooting 18%, so everybody feeling the vibe for Purdue.
Purdue's 3-point shooting has been a big factor in this game.
Well, 7-11 from the floor, 64%. And, you know, one of the things when you look at Purdue, defensively, all but about 2 to 3 minutes of this game, right around that, 11-minute mark to the 8-minute mark, Davidson got it going. But other than that, they haven't been able to find anything at the offensive end that's easy.
And one of the things Matt Painter talked about, his team has not shot the ball particularly well this season. Maybe this is the breakout game they're looking for heading into Big Ten action.
Yeah, if you clamp down on people this way, you're not going to need to shoot it that well, really.
Yeah, Painter was concerned that some of his good shooters really hadn't gotten a stroke going on a regular basis this year other than Robbie Hummel, but today they're shooting the ball extremely well, particularly from long range, building this 23-point lead. Near the end of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team in recognition of continued excellence on and off the court. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each university's general scholarship fund to support the development of new technologies and innovations.
You know, Don, we spoke about and had a graphic earlier about the defensive capabilities of Purdue. 26% with Davidson shooting the basketball right now, clamping down on this team. They only have 24 points at the half, and they average, about 86 a game.
Yep.
I mean, statistics don't lie sometimes.
Yeah, Purdue is having a real tour de force performance in this game. Every way you can measure it, they've been terrific. Curry lets it fly, and that'll do it for the first half of play. So the Davidson Wildcats and Coach Bob McKillop had a lot to talk about at halftime to get back in this game. And Matt Painter, probably a pretty brief message. Keep it up.
Let's see what Curry does in terms of coming out, making sure that he gets a good look in the first minute or so to get his comfort level back.
And no free throw attempts on top of that, so maybe get in the lane. And I think it's only a rumor that Davidson had their shoot-around at the RCA Dome today. So
well, one thing about Stephen Curry, he doesn't get down if he's not hitting because he knows he's going to get hot. He's a very consistent player. And now on a double team, he dishes down low and putting it up and down very nicely is Lovedale.
Well, one of the things that great players do, and even the good scorers, and his numbers and his assists have gone up this year because of the combo guard that he's been playing. So I would think that he's going to try to get these guys involved and find the comfort level and then pick up his scoring possibilities.
Moore working hard inside, and away with the ball is Curry, and here comes a break. Purdue is back. Gosselin, who doesn't shoot often.
Got to go up with it in there.
Not quite enough on Lovedale's shot. Well, back over to Purdue.
He turned a 2-footer into an 8-footer.
Exactly. Worst case, you want to get to the line on that shot.
And Hummel bombs away.
Well, he is so understated, Jimmy, in his game. I mean, he's not a lot of flash, but he just does everything so well.
He has 11 points and 8 rebounds.
And doesn't look like he's been doing anything in this game. As I just say, he doesn't jump out at you, just so productive.
A very efficient player, very economical with his moves. Makes his possessions count. Curry strokes a 3.
Yeah, there's that quick release, because that wasn't a bad job by Kramer staying with him, but it's good to see Curry from a player's perspective just get one to go early in the half. Let's see if he can start to build on that.
There are times when you're going to grade out a defensive player very well playing Curry, and he's still going to make a shot.
Right.
Let's look, guys, at the halftime numbers. You see what the score was, a 23-point advantage for Purdue with 57% shooting.
Another, all those checks there, it'll be check please if that keeps up for another 10 minutes. But there's Hummel at the top. Nice release, perfect form.
And the same thing can be said down the other end with Curry flaring to the corner, gets his feet set, and ready to shoot the basketball without having to turn it.
Chris Kramer, you can't defend him any better than that.
And by the way, Don, just so you know, if you're keeping track, G-Man was asking for the check. He was going to give that to you.
Well, that might be an early meal tonight.
I would be asking where it was. I didn't say I was going to be paying for it.
I know that. Shortest arms on a 6'11" guy I've ever seen in my life.
Right now, the arms of Curry weren't long enough to, after he went down and they get the ball back, it'll be back inbounds. Purdue with phenomenal three-point shooting, 9 of 13, 69%.
And they turn an out-of-bounds play down 3/4 of the way into a 2-on-1 break, well executed.
With Chalison on the payoff end.
And they come right up on you. Everybody catches the ball. There's a man right chest to chest with him.
Hey, Curry with people right in his face.
Well, and Chalison has come alive here. He's scored a couple of points on the other end. It's amazing how a few baskets makes you a better defensive player.
Here we go again, just as the beginning of this game. To go way back to the beginning. It's 21-0. Purdue was up. I know Davidson has a couple here, but it's time to talk things over. They just can't get it going. Purdue, another good start to the second half, just as they did, and watch this little 2-on-1 break. You got a man standing right on the left side. Bring the defender to you, release the basketball, and get an easy bucket. Down the other end, Mike, as you're talking about Hummel, you're absolutely correct. Not flashy, but very efficient.
He's been great. Robbie Hummel, all Big Ten as a freshman. We're at the Wooden tradition. John Wooden, a legendary coach of UCLA, was a legendary basketball player in the state of Indiana, led Martinsville to the state championship. Was a 3-time All-State player, Player of the Year, went to Purdue, led Purdue to a national championship. John Wooden at 32 was the National Player of the Year.
Don, isn't it amazing that most players could live off that and be known as that reputation forever, and people completely forgotten that he played the game, and it was enshrined as a player and a coach, in the Hall of Fame.
Now 97 years old, John Wooden. Had some great high school teams at South Bend Central, then went to Indiana State, now to UCLA, where he had 10 national championships.
And that was a pass just then by Curry.
There is John Wooden. Got that two-hand set going. This was before they lifted weights. John looked like he'd been in a weight room.
10 national championships. It'd be hard-pressed for that to be even closely duplicated this day and age.
Good moving inside as Moore looks for a shot, and now the whistle stops play. We're going to have a 3-second violation on Purdue.
Charleston, I thought, had good position inside, just couldn't get the ball delivered to him.
A lot falls on Davidson's defense now. They have to get stops.
Well, and they've gotten so many, not so many easy opportunities, Jimmy. They've really had to hammer away in the half court against Purdue, and that's not a way to make a lot of baskets.
Well, yeah, a lot of times, you know, you think that you have the ability to score on some teams, so they're going to be worn out at the offensive end of the floor, never mind at the defensive end where you generally get more tired playing defense. I mean, this is a workout just getting a shot off.
Max Goslin drives to the rack, gets it up and down. It's 58-31 Purdue.
Where's the help?
But today, Davidson couldn't get the ball down, and Purdue was absolutely as close to perfect as you get for a half.
Don, I think the two guys really had to manage their rise, Stephen Curry, obviously, and Bob McKillop. The two guys who have the most demands put on their time for interviews and things of that nature. And so I think the rest of the team, maybe, you know, they're playing and playing ball, but it's a different level of fatigue for those two.
Well, I spoke to Bob McKillop and asked him, you know, what has he meant to this program? And he said, well, he's the poster boy for it. He put it on the big stage, and he's kept it on the big stage. And guess what? When you're on the big stage, people come looking for you. So as we touched on before, you know, Davidson's not just going to walk into on any floor against any competition now and be some small school anymore. They're a ranked team with a bona fide All-American, a great player, and they're going to have to live up to it.
We're back to Indianapolis with Jim Spanarkel and Mike Jaminski. I'm Don Crickey. Purdue has played great basketball from start to the present time. NCAA scoring leader Stephen Curry of Davidson being held down in this game. So you look at the list of some of the great scorers. Pete Maravich, 44.5 points a game, but that was before the three-point shot. I asked Pete one time what he would have averaged. Very modestly, he said somewhere in the 50s. And he was modest about it, and he would have.
Glenn Robinson, who played here the first draft, and Matt Painter, a teammate of his. J.J. Redick of recent vintage. Nobody, I'm hard-pressed, especially in a major conference, to do what Pete Maravich has done or did.
Well, how about some numbers, Mike? 3 years that he played, he had 1,138 points the first year that he played, 1,148, and then 1,381 for a total of 3,667 for an average of 44.2 over his career. And rebounding, by the way, Pete averaged 6 rebounds and 5 assists in his career. Not too shabby.
Well, that's, you know, the thing is, when that was before freshmen could play, when his freshman year at LSU, the gym would be packed to watch the freshman game, and then everybody would leave after it was over for the varsity game.
Well, I did the game with him at Houston one time before the game in a pair of Oxfords. He hit 19 threes in a row with a tie on.
Well, it's a small, I hate the phrase body of work, but in the NBA when he played, he only took 15 threes, I think, in his career and made 10 of them. So, and that's a little longer shot than the college one is, so you can imagine what Pistol Pete would have done with that three-point line.
Now 60-37, Purdue continues in command of the game. Terrific play by Robbie Hummel. That's
can't
his
have
best
that
play of this day.
Yeah, there are 5 red jerseys in the paint around the ball, and the one white jersey in there came up with it.
He has an impressive double-double now going for him. 18 points and 10 rebounds, Hummel. But when you talk basketball in the Hoosier State, conversation begins with one man from Indianapolis. The greatest player to come out of Indianapolis, or maybe to come out of anywhere, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. Crispus Attucks.
Before invented the triple-double before anybody knew what it was.
That's right.
Nearly averaged one for his career in the NBA.
He added all his assists, rebounds, and points. That's right. He almost averaged a triple-double. Kramer goes down hard. The defensive specialist, he banged his knee. Nobody wears those padded knee guards anymore.
Not cool.
Right. Short pants and padded knee guards, not cool. Off the mark on the shot by Paulus Goslin, and then put back with a whistle and stop play with 13:50 to go in the game.
Yeah, we've spoken about Robbie Hummel with the way he goes after the offensive glass. First he moves, he sets a screen, and notice that he's just camped out. And look at all the red jerseys, Mike, as you mentioned a second ago. 5 red jerseys there. Who's the only guy doing all the tough work and getting it done but Hummel?
And the thing on that screen and on the interchange, he got Curry switched off on him, a smaller player that he could push under the basket and play right over the top of.
Another thing about Hummel, he goes to the line a lot with his strong inside game, and he's a great free throw shooter, 93% plus for this season.
Those were right there, only the first and second free throws of the game for Davidson.
Well, that was a mantra of Coach Painter in practice yesterday. We can't put them at the foul line, particularly Curry, and they've not done it. A little bit of one-manship. Etuan Moore can't get the shot to go, and a whistle from John Cale stops play.
I love the job. He got maybe a little quick shot there, but I love the way that Purdue runs their offense, really run their cuts well. They love to curl screens, give themselves lots of opportunities with great spacing and good ball movement.
Ball turned over on the second foul against Hummel, who takes down the defensive rebound, and here comes Purdue again. Davidson getting a lot more confrontational under the boards, and there's a pull-up jumper by the coach's son.
Sure, 1 on 3, right, Jim? Why not?
Why not, I guess. He had a good look at least. He's trying to get this team going a little bit.
Purdue put the game away perhaps early with a 25-2 start.
And you know whose name we haven't said in a long time? It's Stephen Curry.
Oh, that might have been over the cylinder, that one.
Now we have his name. Here comes Curry with the rebound and the drive. Rims out. Back to Purdue, so no second chances for the Wildcats of Davidson.
And Mike, to your point before with the free throws or lack of free throws for Davidson, they average about 21, just shy of 21 a game. So just not going to get it done. It's one thing when those long-range shots are going down, but if they're not, you're in trouble.
And that's really the best way to break out of a shooting slump instead of trying to shoot your way out of it. Get to the line, get some rhythm, see the ball go into the basket, get a layup or two, and then build out.
Well, that's going to be Davidson ball, I think. Yep, off the leg. Good call. Good work by the officials to get that one right.
Matt Painter has very little he can be displeased with today, the way his Boilermakers have been playing and building a 64-41 lead. A lot of history there. Colts a team to watch in the NFL.
Oh, this has always been a great collegiate sports town.
This might be Manning's greatest season, Peyton Manning. Now a drive to the basket, up and down, Stephen Curry.
A good set, too, off the break, coming out and trying to get something going towards the basket like we talked about. Here comes the backdoor right along here. Terrific delivery. And one thing about Curry, he's pretty good at getting right into the middle of the lane. And take a look at last year's 36 games, an average of 4.2 free throw attempts per game. Look at the number. He's up to 9.
And you wonder where the bump in his scoring, more than 5 per game at 90%. You do the math, and that's really where great scorers can pad their average by getting to the line almost double-figure times per game.
And he's so good with his delay. I mean, he obviously is a very good player away from the ball with his backdoor cuts and moving without the ball, but he's changed his speed so well, Curry, both with and without the ball. And that's one of the things that he's so good at that throws defenders off.
You know, and I've seen him, Jimmy, and he gets so many fouls away from the ball, people grabbing him for that reason because he just throws them off and out of position.
Lovedale had the ball, lost it, looking for a call, none forthcoming. Back over to the Boilermakers as they now run some clock with 11:10 to play.
If you're down 20 and you're trying to catch up, the last thing you want to do is give a team multiple possessions within a possession and give up offensive rebounds.
Here's Hummel having a great day, 18 points, 10 rebounds.
That's a nice high-low activity, too, for Purdue just then. Hummel to Johnson. They recognize that they had McKillop down low. Take a look at Kramer on the bench. And
looking like it was an ankle he was grabbing down. I bet you he just went in and got retaped.
The upper half of his body looked okay there with the shoulders turning and twisting a little.
Hummel inbounding
Here we
the
go.
ball.
Oh! Great set from the out of bounds.
Thing of beauty by the Boilermakers as they extend to a 66-44 lead.
How many times have we seen teams give up the inside the paint area under their own basket when you take a look? Just right over the top. Watch where this ball ends up, too, in terms of the delivery. A perfectly set up play, and what a beautiful pass by Hummel.
Juwan Johnson. Then down the other end, it's rare that you see a shot blocker try to take a charge like he did on that play and came up with a block.
Tell you that, it's amazing you don't see that play more, when executing it like that.
Right. You know, the principles are to make sure you pack it in, Don, and force it away from the paint. But, you know, at this point in the game, Davidson really has to scramble a little bit more than they want to. They've taken chances, but you never want to take a chance when the other team is entering the ball underneath your basket. You have to settle for the outside pass.
Juwan Johnson playing a solid game. The sophomore takes a seat, and Chalison comes back in for the Boilermakers.
Conversely, look at the defense there. Breakdown just at the end. Take advantage of a guy who just came in the game in Chalison.
Steve Rossiter with that driving two-hand stuff for Davidson.
And then a set is initially set up for Curry coming over a double screen. Maybe some life. Hard to say, right, when you're down 20 with 10:27 left. An opportunity here maybe for Davidson to get a little rhythm back. Let's see if Purdue comes right at them. This is like the type where Purdue feels the rhythm and the momentum changing just slightly, and they usually pick up the D.
Boy, for Curry to do what he's done all season, be the nation's leading scorer with the attention he gets. Look at how quick he gets that away, but he's again off the mark. But he does not get discouraged. They talk about he's so focused, so intent, and knows what he's got. He'll be right back to it. And now the other guy, Brendan McKillop, strokes it.
And he's had some nice tours in this game. He's come in, he's provided some energy and a spark for Bobby McKillop and this Davidson Wildcat team.
McKillop scoring 8 points all this half.
Well, they need a stop right here.
Get one.
Yep. No, they give it up.
Lose the ball.
As you touched on a moment ago, Mike, they just had the ball. Never mind giving it up, but they had it in full possession and gave it up. Wasn't even a loose ball.
And that was another time 4 red jerseys around the ball and 1 Purdue player in there.
Let's watch a replay of that.
You know, the opportunities here, they come up with it. They clearly have possession right there, and then Green stays with the play and waits for the turn, little strip, and it stays in play. Plus, it takes more time off the clock, too. I know you guys like these football possessions down the one end of the floor here.
It's another 1st and 10 for Purdue on this possession.
Don's going to bring up like a Bill Parcells time of possession number, huh?
They're moving the change slowly.
I tell you, Bill Parcells, his teams didn't fumble. You know why? He made an announcement in camp. If you fumble, you don't play here.
That's it.
Guys tend to think about holding on.
Well, and it's the same in any sport. You talk about possession and the value of the basketball or value of the football.
Now the inbounds play is Purdue really playing under control, playing the clock with this big lead.
That's one of my favorite inbounds plays. You know you're in trouble when you got to throw it 90 feet to get it in. Little different than their last one down there when they came away with the interior jam. So Davidson did a little better job of defending it inside.
Then you have the one I found so disheartening when you can't get it in.
Right.
You have to call the time.
Archambault has also been playing some inspired basketball for Bob McKillop. Double-figure score, and then rarely do you see a jump shot like that blocked, especially a player like Hummel. That's a heck of a defensive play.
Whoops. Goslin trying to get to the ball. Fouls. Etwan Moore, the sophomore from East Chicago, Indiana. So Coach McKillop, in his 20th year at Davidson, 7 times the Southern Conference Coach of the Year, keeps waiting for his team to really get on that run they need, down by 17 and now 8:31 to play.
When we talk about fits and starts in the point of the season, it is, Jimmy, that they had 6 or 7 days off for exams. They play this game. Now they've got 9 days off before they start back in league play with the College of Charleston. Bobby Kremen's doing a very nice job with that school.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to duplicate games, in practice sessions. You can only get so much out of it.
And he's going to give his kids 4 days off for Christmas. He's always believed in giving extended time off.
Davidson hawking the ball. Working hard to call a timeout is Moore, and they're going to call a held ball.
Well, Moore dribbled that ball all the way to the deadly zone over there. You never want to stop dribbling when you come across half court. And where does he head to? He's going to head all the way over here and stop. I mean, that's exactly what you want a player to do. Take it right to the corner at half court. You can't go back, so that's a defender. The sideline's a defender, and you double team it. Another good opportunity for Davidson right here, though. They have to get a good shot and be patient.
Purdue's defense right through the game has been stalwart. There's now a great lead down low, and up and down is Lovedale with the shot. A nice lead pass from Bryant Barr.
Even though they're taking a little time off the clock on that particular set, it was so much more important to substitute time loss for a bucket just then. Now all of a sudden the red shirts may play a little more aggressive defense after that.
And Davidson is making progress. 20-6 run, but now they come right back and hit one to the Boilermakers.
It's up for grabs. Good job by Lovedale.
Good hustle play. Finally, Davidson is the beneficiary of some sloppy ball handling by Purdue.
Bob McKillop up coaching hard as his team has cut the lead. Now it's down to 16. They need stops to the Wildcats. Keaton Grant going hard, and he draws a shooting foul.
Well, here's the Purdue sets offensively. Nice little jump shot there. And then you get the loose opportunity, and here comes Lovedale down the middle of the floor to finish one off to give Davidson a little bit of life.
Purdue in command. They've led by much more than that. Their field goal shooting has been terrific, particularly three-point shots.
Yeah, and I think that's the wild card offensively for Purdue. Only 30% on the season coming in. They had not been shooting it well, and that's a tough percentage to overcome.
Well, and exactly, when you think about Purdue, too, running their sets and their half-court sets and enough dribbles to the basket, allowing those kickouts, Matt Painter's team did a nice job of pitching it out so guys could be shooting in rhythm, too, with their jumpers from long range. So it's been a nice blend of both the interior work and the outside perimeter shooting for Purdue.
This right here, though, Keaton Grant, his three-pointer, Jimmy, that he just had was the only made field goal that Purdue has had in the last 7 minutes. So bit of a drought, maybe a bit of an opportunity missed for Davidson to carve more of that lead off.
And how do you weather the storm? You come right back and hit a couple of free throws to slow down Davidson.
Well, Purdue's defense has slowed down Curry. He's shooting 20% and 5 of 25. Now, Matt Painter telling us that in tape study of Davidson, Curry with the ball now has the ball 80% of the time at their offensive end. That's a good place to have the ball, really. This is a nice looking stroke. Archambault from Saint-Hubert, Quebec. 13 points.
And he's been one of the other guys that has stepped up here with Curry having his problems shooting the basketball.
Coming off a season high 20 points against Chattanooga. It started early, Jimmy, with Stephen Curry. He missed his first 8 shots. I thought you made a good point that he had some good looks and an opportunity to catch fire, but seeing a small basket didn't start going to the rim until early in the second half.
And it becomes frustrating. And you know, it's, as we've spoken about, it's difficult to have that target on your back. I mean, he comes in scoring in that 30-point range a game, and this is a tough defensive team that he came up against early on in this one. They kind of put their stamp on him early.
And that being said, still 6 minutes to go in this game, and great players have a knack of putting behind them what has gone wrong. Let's see if he can get it turned around here down the stretch and finish strongly.
Because the concept is, you know, the good shooters, I often believe, you know, if you're 2 for 7 or 2 for 8 and then you hit one, you're now 1 for 1. You're not, you know, 2 for 9 or whatever it adds up to. And I'm sure he thinks the same way. But he's also having some troubles right now getting good looks also. Kramer's back out there fighting through his injury, so he's doing a good job of tracking him.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They hid Kramer early on him, but he is actually, they've put 4 bodies on him, but he has spent the bulk of the time guarding Curry. They've selectively done that to keep him out of foul trouble.
I think the most interesting observation that Bob McKillop, coach of Davidson's, made about Stephen Curry, who's short on his 3, is his teammates love Stephen Curry.
He's a tremendous kid. Del and Sonia, his parents, have done a great job raising him. Very centered, very humble, in spite of all the attention that he's gotten in the last year.
Yeah, Curry averaged 20.5 points 2 years ago as a freshman. Usually freshmen don't get a lot of shots. McKillop said his teammates liked him so much they made sure he got shots.
Look at this double right here too, guys. I mean, comes across a screen, and then you react slowly to the top of the key, but every time he touches it, one guy's on him. That's an air ball that he threw up there.
And Jimmy emphasized very slowly reacting back. That's the thing. The thing that makes a screen roll work is you have to honor the screener.
Right, exactly.
And they haven't had to do that against Davidson. All the focus has been on Curry.
You know, as you teach the game, right, Mike? I mean, it's like a basic. The pick and roll, the screen and roll. Guys never want to set screens. You never wanted to set screens when we were playing, but you were always open after it. If you set a good screen, you're open.
It's the most selfish thing I think you can do offensively.
Exactly.
If you set a great screen, you're going to get a good look.
And Purdue is getting some great looks at the free throw line. They've hit 13 of 14. Big part of this 18-point lead, their terrific free throw shooting. Meanwhile, Davidson is only 3 of 5 from the free throw line. At the half, Purdue led 47-24 as Curry was held to 7 points on 3 of 17 field goal shooting. He is 5 for 26 for the game as Kramer looks to dish. Last touch by Davidson, inbounds with 4:56 to play to the Boilers.
One of the things Purdue would like to see Kramer do is score a little bit. You know, they always talk about his defensive effort. Matt Painter always speaks about what he does. I thought that was an opportunity where he had a possible drive. There's that great inbound set again.
And you make that drive, and Curry is guarding you, so you put pressure on him, maybe pick up a foul.
Jawan Johnson a bit short. Goslin hustling for the ball, and it's going to be off his hand, though, and back inbounds to Purdue.
I mean, they had a lot of fun. 20-0 in their conference, though, so and it was not enough to get you ready.
Yeah, and it was a Jayhawk title that almost wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Was it a two-pointer?
Rossiter just fouled out for Davidson with 2 points.
You know, not to plug, you know, with McKillop, too, but to plug the academic side, too. You know, since he's been coaching there, all 65 of his seniors have graduated. So, I mean, he's just as proud of that with the statement. And by the way, Mike, he loves to recruit kids whose dads played basketball.
Yeah, I know. Well, he had such great success with Brendan Winters, the Brian's son, a great player that we played against. So and Stephen Curry, he recruited Steph's brother Seth.
Who's putting up big numbers at Liberty.
Yeah, he's one of the leading freshman scorers in the country.
Yeah, he's averaging over 21 a game for Liberty, Seth Curry. Well, one of the reasons everybody said, why didn't the big schools in the ACC recruit Curry, Stephen Curry? And one of the reasons was, he says, in his junior year, at the start of his junior year, he was 5'8", 130 pounds, or 5'7", 130 pounds.
Yeah, he's a very slight build. And, I can understand maybe why you miss Steph, but why not give Seth a chance? I mean, there are plenty of teams in the league that need shooters and scorers.
There is a genetic line there, isn't there? Del Curry, the dad, played,
17 years in the NBA. I was a teammate of his for a few in Charlotte.
And again, Chris Kramer goes down. He plays the game hard, and he's been really going to the deck hard a couple of times. Chris Kramer, the junior from Huntington, Indiana.
Well, he saw the limp, and here's why he's limping after that one. Takes a good shot, elevates first, and heads to the floor.
Purdue has led from the start. Now the Boilermakers leading Davidson 75-56. Visit CBSSports.com for a wrap-up of all the day's NCAA basketball action. Get the latest scores and stats, video highlights, and in-depth analysis from our team of experts only at CBSSports.com. Well, Purdue with a very impressive victory today, presuming that they will continue out and finish this one in fine style, and their opening Big Ten game will be against the Illini at West Lafayette. Get into the 18-game Big Ten schedule.
You know, it's amazing to me. You think about the icons and the coaches in college basketball, and Gene Katie, and never having gotten to the Final Four, and all those teams, and here's Matt Painter now trying to take Purdue to that next level and to keep them in the upper echelon of the Big Ten. And this is a very impressive team, Jimmy. I think they're going to do well in that league.
I think so also, and I think number one is because they get the motors started on the defensive end first. So there are going to be nights when you struggle offensively, but they can play consistent basketball. And, when you break down their personnel, too, they don't have like a whole bunch of guys that do the same thing. They have a couple of shot blockers. They have the big guys, the post players. Two of them, one's a shot blocker, Johnson. The other guy is a big guy who closes up the middle of the floor. They have quickness. They have strength. They have a lot of good components defensively.
And 5 players with over 20 assists. So really, guys, there's Tubby Smith early out with a nice 10-0 record at Minnesota. Ohio State they keep losing guys, but keep retooling.
Tubby, though, he hasn't had a murderer's row, has he, so far?
And I don't know that that's what he needed at this point in time.
But a 10-0 is a 10-0.
That's exactly right.
Last year, you're talking about Purdue, the Boilermakers won 25 games. They lost in the opening round of the Big Ten tournament, then went to the NCAA tournament, won a first-round game. Here comes Curry, dishing out to Archambault and quickly back out to Gosselin, who he's going to pass. And then a poorly thrown ball by Bryant Farr, and it's back over to the Boilermakers as they run clock with a 75-56 lead. 3 minutes to go.
And Matt Painter up along the sidelines doing just what you said, Don. Continue to run the clock. Look at how wide and spread they are. And for the better part of this game, except now when they're starting slowly to get into their sets, we've seen a lot of movement away from the ball, which is another sign of a very well-coached team and a team that's going to work to get their shots.
And you look at it, we'll refer back to the start of this game. It's so important to be ready to play a 21-0 deficit. If you look at the game and the score now, it's been played even since that point. But just too much to overcome for Davidson.
And here's the effort. Watch the effort. No quit. Good job right there along the baseline and the sideline right there by Jackson to get the ball back. It'll take another 15, 20 seconds off the clock until they get a good look, just to work the clock and manage it.
Inbounds to Johnson. 2:33 to play. Back over to Grant, who was, as mentioned earlier, their MVP last season, voted by the players. Keaton Grant. It's a very important win. As Painter said earlier, we've beaten the teams we're supposed to beat before today. We've lost to the better teams, Duke and Oklahoma.
Well, and I think the one thing that hurt them, Don, personally was the home loss to Duke. As I said earlier, where they thought they got out-toughed and out-hustled. Oklahoma on a neutral floor is a tough task for anybody.
Yeah. Now they get the ball down low. The ball slammed down by freshman Ben Allison from West Sussex, England. Time permitting, number 2 Connecticut playing number 8 Gonzaga. And the Zags are up by 4.
And Jimmy, you've seen them. I think I'm very impressed with UConn and the size and the talent that they have. That would be a huge win for Gonzaga.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Program that's done so well with Mark Few over the years.
Player of the game has to be Robbie Hummel of Purdue, the sophomore from Valparaiso, Indiana. An all Big Ten first teamer as a freshman last year. He just did everything.
Well, that's the beauty of watching highlights of Hummel. You get a little variation of everything. Offensive glass, we saw him on the layup. We saw him shooting the 15-footer.
18 points on 6 of 11 field goal shooting, 4 for 4 free throws.
14 rebounds. And he really, Jimmy, I'm watching him, and it just didn't look like he put those type of numbers out there, but a spectacular game.
Scramble. Curry comes away with it. 4 on 3. Dish out and in and out off the hand of the sophomore guard, Brendan McKillop.
And credit Purdue, and they have taken an extraordinary score in Stephen Curry and marginalized him in this game. He has not been a factor.
Curry 5 of 26 with 13 points.
And do any kind of math, even if Curry had a fair game, you know, a 60-70% game on his 30-pointers, he gets another 8 points or so, and then all of a sudden, you know, this game is a little nervous at times for Purdue, but he just never got on track.
So Davidson just trying to fly down the court and make something happen, but Purdue just so consistent at both ends today. Curry. Most days those go down for him. Today they're rolling off. And a standing salute here in the capital city of Indiana for the Purdue Boilermakers as we're down now to 18 seconds to play. Grant dribbling out the clock. And Purdue's going to 9-2 on the year. Let's look at the final numbers of Stephen Curry. 13 points. This is the nation's leading scorer, 32 points a game on 5 of 27 shooting. Meanwhile, the sophomore Hummel with a great day today. Today's Chevrolet players of the game are Will Archambault from Davidson and Robbie Hummel from Purdue. In recognition of continued excellence on and off the court, Chevrolet will make a contribution to each university's general scholarship fund to support the development of new technologies and innovations.